Number 8. Santo, Lasoya, and Jose Martinez. 2 men were arrested in March of 2017 for a fatal drive-by shooting that had occurred a year prior in a Chicago neighborhood. On December the 16th of 2016, after attending a Chicago Bulls game, Crispin Collis went to a done-in convenience store with a few friends. The 28-year-old exchanged words with Santo, Lasoya, and Jose Martinez, members of the Milwaukee Kings street gang. Both men had matching face tattoos marking their affiliations and reportedly asked Collis about his gang connections. A mandate of the Kings, as reported by the authorities, was to kill their rivals or perceived rivals on sight. Collis and his companions ignored the thugs, who briefly left the scene. Lasoya and Martinez retrieved firearms from a nearby stash house and then returned in a white Jeep. They pulled up to Collis's car and fired at least 4 shots into it. Collis was hit in the temple and later pronounced dead at Lutheran General Hospital the day before his 29th birthday, as reported by prosecutors in the case that followed. Lasoya and Martinez later got the logo from the Douce liquor bottle they'd purchased that night tattooed below their eyes to commemorate the murder. The car they'd used in the drive-by was traced back to them, and both men pleaded guilty to the killing. Lasoya was sentenced to nearly 33 years in federal prison, while Martinez, who also pleaded guilty to racketeering charges, was given a 29-year term. Number 7. Noel Reed. By October of 2020, teenager Noel Reed from Winsford, England, had begun to act upon his ambition of setting up a drug operation in the area. Nicknamed the Devil, he and his crew had become connected with criminal elements, looking to become Winsford's main suppliers. Then, on October the 11th, Reed and several accomplices started looking for 2 men whom they'd suspected of trying to take over their racket. They spotted their targets in the town's Premier store. The victims desperately clung to the front door as Reed brandished a Rambo 3 hunting knife, and one of his accomplices started smashing through the glass with a hammer. The 2 men fled through the stockroom door, but after Reed and the others regrouped, they confronted several of their rivals' friends, including 27-year-old former Army cadet Keegan Crimes. Even though the latter wasn't known to be involved in criminal activity, Reed attacked him, inflicting devastating knife wounds. Crimes died after losing roughly 33 pints of blood. 2 other men were non-fatally stabbed as they tried to intervene and swipe at the teenage crime boss with a branch. One eyewitness reported of Reed that he was trying to stab everyone in his sight, like a man possessed trying to kill anyone. After fleeing the scene, Reed later sarcastically posted on Facebook, "R.I.P. Keegan." Within weeks of the murder, as the police still searched for the perpetrator, Reed and his crew carried out a violent house burglary. During it, he'd held a mother and son at knife point, threatening to cut them up. DNA evidence eventually tied him to Crimes' killing, while the teen's Google searches revealed phrases such as "does blood wash off shoes?", Rambo 3 knives, and guns. By the time he was discovered, Reed had buried the murder weapon and it wasn't retrieved. He was ordered to serve a minimum of 19 years for the killing and showed little emotion as the sentence was read out. Reed did, however, make gang signs and blow kisses to his friends in the public gallery. 2 other teenagers connected to the incident had been given 12-month youth referral orders at an earlier hearing after they'd admitted a fray. Number 6. Jamie Davison. In July of 2020, British teenager Coral Edgar invited Lee McKnight, with whom she'd once been involved, to her home in Carlisle, Cumbria, with the promise of intimate relations. Unbeknownst to 26-year-old McKnight, Edgar had been doing the bidding of dealer Jamie Davison. McKnight owed him several £1,000s and had gone into hiding, but Davison used Edgar to lure him out. He recruited Aaron Graham and teenager Jamie Lee Roberts to help him and ambushed McKnight when he arrived at the address. The man was tied to a chair and beaten to the brink of death for roughly 2 hours. He was punched, kicked, stomped, and struck repeatedly with a diamante-headed riding crop. Davison and his accomplices then dumped his body into River Caldu using a car provided by Edgar's mother. It was also determined that Roberts' father had taken fresh clothing to the blood-splattered house and torched evidence associated with the incident. All 6 people involved in the killing of McKnight were convicted of murder in 2021. Davis, whom one of his fellow accused characterized as a psychopath, was sentenced to at least 30 years behind bars. Number 5. Young Thug. Grammy Award-winning rapper Jeffrey Lamar Williams, professionally known as Young Thug, was denied bail for a 3rd time in August of 2022 in a case relating to his alleged gang activity, as well as several other charges. On May the 9th, Williams was arrested in Atlanta, Georgia as one of 28 people charged in a 56-count Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. All the defendants were associated with the Young Stoner Life Records, founded by Williams in 2016. Aside from the RICO charge, a raid of Williams's Buckhead home resulted in 6 further felony charges for the possession of several firearms, including a machine gun and a violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Arguing against Williams's bail release, the prosecution described him and his associates as the real deal, as well as violent, dangerous people who'd been connected to numerous murders. They also pointed to Williams's rap lyrics in which he'd identified himself as the gang's general. Number 4. Daniel Messiahik and Camille Messiahik. On November the 28th of 2015, Daniel Messiahik and Camille Messiahik attacked a 27-year-old man with an aluminium baseball bat and then forced him into a taxi into the former's home in Netherton, Merseyside, England. Over the course of 9 hours, the man was subjected to degrading torture by Lasoya and Messiahik, whose numerous face tattoos included the words "Thug Life" below his mouth. It involved forcing the victim to perform intimate acts on them, urinating on him, inserting objects into his body, repeated beatings, and locking him in a small storage cupboard. Messiahik's 27-year-old fiancée, Orna Basak, filmed roughly 90 minutes of the man's ordeal on her cell phone. They made him confess he'd had inappropriate relations with minors, which, albeit untrue, the victim did, hoping it would end his torment. He then heard the others leave while he was locked in the cupboard. The victim kicked the doors open, got dressed, and made his escape by jumping from a window. Messiahik, Lasoya, and Basak were arrested in the aftermath and sentenced at Liverpool Crown Court in 2016. Messiahik was jailed for life with a minimum of 9 years served, his fiancée for 12 years, and Lasoya for 18 years. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below, or follow us on Instagram and reach out to us there. Number 3. Michael Lynn Rogers. In 2016, Michael Lynn Rogers was the second in command for the North Texas branch of the notorious Aryan Brotherhood gang. In July of that year, the man known as Texas Mike gruesomely murdered 34-year-old Alberto Gonzalez at his Dallas home. The latter wasn't affiliated with the white supremacist gang and had reportedly gone to Rogers' address to buy illicit substances. AB affiliates Gregory Collier and John Paul Street were also present in the home. At one point, Rogers accused Gonzalez of stealing a wallet containing $600 from him. It marked the beginning of a ruthless and horrific assault on the man. He was struck with a hammer, slashed with a machete, burned with a hot spoon, and had a broom handle inserted in his body. Rogers then used a power tool to drill 4 holes into the man's skull and 2 more into his chest and abdomen. Gonzalez's body was dumped at a remote pond near Irving, Texas, and set on fire. The 3 men were arrested, and Rogers initially tried to pin the murder on the other 2, but Collier and his girlfriend testified against him. For his cooperation, Collier received a 10-year sentence for a reduced kidnapping charge, while Rogers was sentenced to life without parole. Details of Gonzalez's killing troubled the jurors, who asked whether their name would be made public prior to delivering a verdict. As reported by Dallas Morning News, over 15 officers were dispatched to the courtroom to ensure the jurors would leave safely. Number 2. Marella Ponce. Following her arrest in October of 2017, Marella Ponce earned considerable attention on social media, with many users referring to her as a hot felon. 20-year-old Ponce, who was affiliated with the Tiny Rascal gang, had been arrested by law enforcement in Fresno, California, following a traffic stop. The young mother was in the car with her baby, 2 fellow gang members, and 2 firearms which had been reported stolen. She was charged with carrying a concealed firearm and carrying a stolen firearm, both of which were felonies. Fresno police shared Ponce's mugshot online, as well as a photo of the lilac handgun found in her possession. Visible from the processing photo were Ponce's multiple neck and chest tattoos, one of which read, "Love is pain," while another, "Pain is pleasure." The mother of 2's bail was set at $50,000 for each count, and many within her newfound following offered to pay her bail or advocated for her release, much like with Jeremy Meeks, a felon who'd become a social media sensation a few years prior. The arrest provided an opportunity for Ponce to turn her mugshot into a successful modeling career. Number 1. Bryce Rhodes. On May the 22nd of 2016, Kentucky brothers Maurice Gordon and Larry Ordway were stabbed to death by a gang leader who'd initially tried to recruit them. Local rapper Bryce "Rambo" Rhodes was among the 4 people charged with the double homicide. Rhodes was also charged with the shooting death of 40-year-old Christopher Jones on May the 4th. Teenagers Gordon and Ordway reportedly looked up to Rhodes, who'd sold them on the idea of fame and the street gangster lifestyle. He took them shopping for designer clothes and featured them holding guns in his rap videos. On May the 4th, Rhodes spotted Jones while driving through Louisville with the brothers and 2 other teenagers. He mistook Jones for a local gangster who had a price on his head. Thinking he'd collect on the hit, 25-year-old Rhodes jumped out of the car and gunned down the innocent man. Gordon and Ordway witnessed the killing and were left terrified of Rhodes, who later began fearing that they'd go to the police. A few weeks later, he invited them to his home under the guise of partying. He eventually accused the brothers of stealing from him, which was believed to have been a pretext to kill them. After a brief scuffle, he bound and separated them, as reported by another teenager present at the scene, who'd later become Rhodes' co-defendant. He made Gordon get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. Once he'd done so, Rhodes put a stocking over his head, gagged him, and stabbed him multiple times in the chest. He then knifed Ordway to death as well. Their bodies were found burned and dumped behind an abandoned house. The murder was traced back to Rhodes, who subsequently pleaded not guilty. His 3 co-defendants all took plea deals that, in at least one case, involved giving evidence against him. The trial was repeatedly delayed, but the hearings were marked by several instances of troubling behavior on Rhodes' part. One in 2016 involved him threatening the presiding judge and her family, while in 2018, he laughed at the murdered teen's mother, prompting her to lunge at him and be escorted out of the courtroom. His constant disruptive attitude towards the authorities caused him at one point to be brought into court wearing a spit mask.
He made Maurice on his knees and beg for forgiveness. And he put a toboggan over his head, and he put a rag in his mouth. And then he stabbed him. We moved Maurice to the side, and we brought his brother, and we put the toboggan over his head. He put the toboggan over his head and put the sock in his mouth. Started stabbing him too.
Thanks for watching. Would you rather become part of a violent gangster's entourage or leave your life behind and be relocated in the Witness Protection Program? Let us know in the comments section below.